Beau Lotto, Deviate, The Science of Seeing Differently. Embark on a journey that will reshape your understanding of reality with Deviate, The Science of Seeing Differently, by Beau Lotto. This book takes a deep dive into the human mind, revealing that our perceived reality is merely an interpretation. By exploring vivid examples of optical illusions, we discover how our brains work to interpret complex circumstances, often leading to distortions. Learn about the importance of interpretation in processing the vast amounts of information we encounter daily, and uncover remarkable stories of individuals adapting to unfamiliar situations. Get ready to question your assumptions and embrace the power of uncertainty and context in shaping our perception.
Unraveling reality's illusions. In 2014, a photograph of a dress sparked heated debates worldwide. Was it blue and black or gold and white? This simple optical illusion revealed an unsettling truth about the human mind: our perception of reality is nothing more than an interpretation. Our brains don't truly see an objective reality, they perceive the world through context and surrounding information, often leading to distortions. Although these distortions may be harmless or even beneficial, they remind us that our senses are vulnerable to deception, and our brains don't need to perceive reality accurately, just well enough to help us survive. In a world driven by perception, a mere photo of a dress ignited global discussions and disagreements. Was the dress blue and black or gold and white? The astonishing answer is that everyone's looking at the same image but observing utterly distinct things. This seemingly simple optical illusion captivated millions because it exposed a disconcerting fact about the human psyche: reality, as we know it, is just our brain's interpretation. The underlying message is that while objective reality exists, our minds don't witness it directly. The notorious color-altering dress isn't an isolated case. Our brains constantly interpret circumstances in ways that diverge from reality. Optical illusions we face throughout our lives serve as reminders of this phenomenon. One famous example involves two circles appearing as different shades due to their contrasting backgrounds. However, when placed side by side, their shade is identical. Our mind interprets the visual stimulus differently based on context. Another striking illustration involves sitting in a stationary train. As an adjacent train moves forward, we may momentarily feel like we're moving backward, despite staying still. Evidently, not just our eyes, but all our senses can be fooled. Do we really know what's truly real? Quite often, we don't. However, that's acceptable. Most distortions are harmless or even advantageous, allowing us to focus on vital sensations, such as pain or fear. Having evolved over millions of years, our brain's interpretation of reality doesn't need to be precise, it simply needs to assist us in our survival. Interpreting information matters. In the information age, we have access to an overwhelming amount of data. However, information on its own is useless without interpretation. Our sensory capabilities have evolved to filter out unnecessary input, focusing only on what we need. Even with this selective perception, what we take in can still be confusing and requires interpretation to give it meaning. Let's say you and a friend find yourselves in a heated debate over a trivial detail. In the past, you'd probably end the conversation with an agreement to disagree. But with the rise of smartphones, you can quickly search online for the answer. While it's true that we now have access to an almost infinite sea of information, it's important to understand that this information in its raw form has little to no value. The key takeaway here is that information requires interpretation to be meaningful. Every day, we are exposed to countless pieces of information in the form of photons, chemicals, and vibrations. This raw data only gains significance when it is interpreted and processed. As a result, photons become colors, chemicals turn into tastes, and vibrations transform into sounds. To aid in processing this sensory input, our bodies and brains have evolved to filter out unneeded information. This allows us to focus only on the necessary bits, helping us hear specific frequencies, smell distinct chemicals, and see within the range of visible light. Despite our body's natural filtering mechanisms, our perception of reality is still limited. The information we gather is often combined in complex ways that can be challenging to interpret. Consider witnessing a beautiful sunset. What we see is a complicated mixture of photons, reflected surfaces, and atmospheric interactions. Our eyes interpret these various elements into a cohesive image. The task of interpreting this information continues even after it reaches our brains. For instance, a simple human facial expression, such as a smile, can carry a vast range of meanings depending on the context. In summary, it's crucial to remember that, as we navigate the information age, having access to data is only helpful when we possess the ability to interpret it effectively. Unleashing brain power through interaction. Growing up without his eyes, Ben Anderson used echolocation to perceive his surroundings, showcasing the incredible adaptability and flexibility of the human brain. With consistent practice and engagement, our minds can be trained to be more sensitive, flexible, and creative, just like an athlete's muscles, resulting in enhanced cognitive abilities. Regular exposure to diverse stimuli, as shown through scientific studies with rats and humans, leads to improved brain health and the capacity to incorporate new senses. By simply enriching our lives with novel experiences, arts, and people, we stimulate our minds and tap into the hidden potential of our brains. Ben Anderson's childhood in Sacramento, California, was far from ordinary. Despite losing his sight to a rare form of cancer at the age of 3, he adapted remarkably well. Ben harnessed the power of echolocation by clicking his tongue and paying attention to the sounds reflecting off surrounding surfaces, akin to a bat's navigation system. Ben's extraordinary story emphasizes the astounding potential of the human brain. Our minds can sharpen and refine by continually interacting with the world around us. This interaction enhances our sensitivity, flexibility, and creativity, just like athletes training their muscles for precision and strength. The significance of engagement with our environment has been corroborated by various scientific studies. One classic study, involving 2 groups of rats, demonstrated that the group raised in a stimulating environment with toys and objects developed better brain structure, with more cells and denser neural connections than their counterparts in dull, unchanging environments. Another study from the University of Osnabrück equipped participants with special belts that mimicked the magnetic sensing abilities of certain animals. The experiment revealed that, after a few weeks, the subjects had improved spatial perception and navigational confidence. Thankfully, enhancing brain health doesn't require complex apparatuses. By simply immersing ourselves in new experiences, diverse art forms, and engaging with different individuals, we can stimulate our brains and unlock their immense potential. Context shapes our reality. In 1824, Louis XVIII faced complaints about the colors of threads from his royal tapestry factory. His chemist, Michel Chevreul, discovered that the issue was not the quality of the threads or dyes but rather the human perception of colors. The interaction between shades in the showroom made the colors appear more vivid to the onlooker. This highlights a core principle: our perception of reality depends on context. Recognizing this reality allows us to adjust our perception, but the challenge lies in adapting to new contextual frameworks, as seen when people learn foreign languages. While our brain often corrects errors in perception automatically, we must also remember that perception is malleable and can be consciously adjusted. The year is 1824, and King Louis XVIII is facing dissatisfaction with his royal tapestry factory's colorful threads. Investigating the issue, Michel Chevreul, the king's chemist, discovers that the problem isn't the dye or thread quality, but rather the perception of colors themselves. When woven together, the colorful yarns create a greater contrast which makes them appear more vibrant than they are individually. This revelation showcases a crucial truth: our perception of reality is context-dependent. Our senses are continually interpreting the world around us, subject to both the present context and previous experiences. For instance, when learning a foreign language, native English speakers can differentiate between R and L sounds, while Japanese speakers might find this distinction challenging initially due to the absence of such a distinction in their language. Our brains excel at recognizing patterns and adapting to past contexts. This skill can be advantageous but may also hinder our ability to perceive things accurately. Mundane examples like overlooking common typos exemplify this phenomenon, where our brains autocorrect, relying on contextual knowledge. Though contextual influences are powerful, we can consciously adapt our perception of reality. By understanding the contextual nature of our experiences, we gain the power to adjust our senses and interpretation of the world around us. Perception shapes our reality. In 1915, artist Kazimir Malevich unveiled a painting of a single black square which sparked debate amongst critics and viewers alike. This revolutionary piece highlights the power of our minds in perceiving and interpreting art. Our conscious thought allows us not only to create meaning inside our heads but also to influence how we perceive the material world. Optical illusions, like a spinning diamond flipbook, demonstrate this concept. Our perception is also influenced by past experiences and emotional states, often unconsciously. Ultimately, seemingly objective reality is intertwined with our internal thoughts and assumptions, underscoring the importance of recognizing the impact perception has on our lives. Following its debut in 1915, a groundbreaking painting by Kazimir Malevich captured St. Petersburg's imagination. The artwork, merely a single black square, stirred emotions, sparking debate over its meaning and value. Observers derived meaning by engaging their minds, placing the piece in context with other artworks, and referencing aesthetic theories. This highlights an essential insight: our minds are powerful tools, shaping how we perceive the world. Conscious thought, a distinctive human strength, enables us to conjure up entirely new worlds and find meaning in art forms like fairy tales, films, and theatrical performances. Alongside fostering creativity, conscious thought influences our perception of the physical world. For example, an optical illusion involving a spinning diamond flipbook exemplifies how our perception can change based on our mental focus. The same images appear to change direction based on personal interpretation. Moreover, the way we perceive our surroundings is frequently a subconscious process, with past experiences and emotional states often playing an unassuming but vital role. Research has found that our perception of reality tends to reflect these internal assumptions. For instance, children from low-income backgrounds perceive coins as larger and hills as steeper if they are tired. Ultimately, our perception of reality intertwines with our internal thoughts and assumptions, making it crucial to acknowledge and understand the impact perception has on our everyday lives. Breaking assumptions, expanding minds. Dr. Ameyo Adedivoa's daring decision during the 2014 Ebola crisis illustrates how our individual understanding of the world can shape our actions. Our assumptions can both help and hinder our thinking as we rely on pre-existing patterns established by past experiences. Recognizing these limitations enables us to expand our perceptions, challenge our assumptions, and navigate the world with more flexibility and adaptability. In the gripping case of Dr. Ameyo Adedivoa's brave actions during the Ebola outbreak in 2014, she chose to keep a seriously ill patient in quarantine, defying the Liberian government's demands. Her controversial decision ultimately saved thousands of lives when the patient was confirmed to have Ebola. Adedivoa's resolute stance was influenced by her individual perception of danger and the world around her. Our assumptions and perceptions have a powerful impact on how we think and make decisions. They can be both advantageous and restrictive, depending on the situation. Although we may not always perceive reality objectively, our imagination allows us to interpret the world and exert control over this process. However, our imagination has its limitations, largely due to the unconscious assumptions we hold about the world. Every experience we have leaves an imprint on our brain, forming connections that help us make sense of new situations. Instead of encountering reality with a fresh perspective daily, we tend to rely on established thought patterns. These patterns can sometimes serve us well by alerting us to potentially harmful situations. But this reliance on ingrained patterns also hinders our ability to explore new ways of thinking. The challenge and opportunity lie in recognizing these thought patterns and consciously deviating from them. By engaging in introspection and self-reflection, we can identify our hidden beliefs and develop the capacity to break away from them. This skill is essential for adapting to and navigating the ever-changing, complex world we inhabit. Embracing this mental flexibility enables us to grow intellectually, professionally, and personally. Rethink assumptions, boost creativity. In 1799, the discovery of the Rosetta Stone offered new insights into ancient languages when a young linguist, Jean-François Champollion, challenged the established assumption that hieroglyphics represented whole words. To think creatively and solve problems, we must cast aside our assumptions, interact with the world in new ways, and be open to trial and error. This shift in perspective allows us to solve brainteasers like Dunker's candle and master novel challenges like writing the backwards brain cycle, demonstrating that knowledge, even when deemed complete, is always subject to change. The Rosetta Stone's discovery in 1799 by French soldiers in Egypt led to groundbreaking revelations about ancient languages. For years, researchers struggled to decipher its Egyptian hieroglyphics, as they believed the small images functioned as symbols for whole words. However, when young linguist Jean-François Champollion suggested that hieroglyphics might represent sounds instead of words, previously obscured meanings became intelligible. This breakthrough reminds us that to think creatively, we should cast aside our established assumptions. Developing new ideas often begins by questioning our old beliefs, but entrenched ways of perceiving the world can be hard to shake. Therefore, conscious effort is required to generate innovative ideas that, retrospectively, might appear evident. For instance, the classic brainteaser Dunker's candle exemplifies the importance of re-evaluating our assumptions. Given a candle, matches, and a box of tacks, your task is to stick the candle to the wall and light it. In the beginning, this seems insurmountable, as the tacks are too short to hold the candle. However, once you reconsider the purpose of the tack box, imagining it as a shelf for the candle, suddenly, the problem becomes solvable. To challenge our assumptions and pave the way for innovation, we must embrace trial and error while continually engaging with the world from new angles. Interacting with the world differently reveals that our old beliefs may not always apply. Surprisingly, even well-established knowledge can be upended when placed within unfamiliar contexts. Destin Sandlin, an educator, showcases this by introducing the backwards brain cycle, a custom-built bicycle with inverted steering. Although the modification seems minor, it requires a completely distinct approach to balance. Seasoned cyclists, who believe they know how to ride a bike, struggle with the reversed controls, illustrating that assumed knowledge can always be revisited and improved. In conclusion, by questioning assumptions, interacting with the world in novel ways, and embracing trial and error, we can foster creativity, expand our understanding, and achieve previously unattainable goals. Embrace uncertainty, unlock creativity. We inherited our human ancestors' preference for certainty, which once kept us safe from potential dangers. However, this same preference can limit our growth and creativity in today's world. By embracing uncertainty and not rushing to conclusions, we can open ourselves to diverse perspectives and interpretations, ultimately unlocking greater creativity and expanding our understanding of the world. 2 million years ago, our early human ancestors thrived on the African savanna by playing it safe and sticking to familiar territories. Straying into the unknown left them vulnerable to hidden dangers. Consequently, humans evolved to appreciate certainty, passing this trait down through generations. While certainty offers comfort, it can also hinder our growth and creativity. Just like our ancient counterparts, children today instinctively fear darkness, fearing what might be hiding in the shadows. This fear may dissipate as we grow, but our need for certainty remains strong. A study from University College London evidenced this. Participants reported less stress when they knew an electric shock was imminent rather than if they were unsure. Our aversion to uncertainty can hold us back, keeping us trapped in preconceived ideas and beliefs. To truly progress, we should embrace uncertainty with an open mind. One effective way to cultivate this mindset is by pausing between our experiences and reactions. Let's say a stranger bumps into you roughly. Instead of jumping to the conclusion that they're inconsiderate, take a moment to acknowledge the uncertainty. Could they be in a hurry for a valid reason or struggling with balance issues? By appreciating that we don't know the full story, we can remain open to alternative interpretations, enhancing our understanding of others and the world around us. In learning to embrace uncertainty, we unlock the potential for creativity and growth, paving the way for new discoveries and insights into the complexities of life. Innovation's playful balance. Inside the Valley Life Sciences building at the University of California, Berkeley, scientists study the agile movements of cockroaches, driven by curiosity. Their findings have led to the development of R-Hex, a bionic robot for navigating combat zones. This lab exemplifies an ideal ecology of innovation, maintaining a balance between play and efficiency. Contrary to the common belief that new ideas stem from specific goals, innovation actually thrives more in blue sky thinking, a mindset that fosters exploration without constraints. This open-minded approach allows for the generation of original concepts that can later be refined for practical application, a process akin to natural evolution. Embracing unrestrained thought in innovation ultimately leads to more creative solutions and breakthroughs.
In conclusion, Deviate uncovers the complexities of human perception and interpretation, proving that reality is far from objective. However, we can change our perceptions and embrace uncertainty to unleash our creativity and broaden our understanding. By learning to engage with the world through exploration and interaction, we can confront distorted views and develop a more flexible approach to navigating our ever-changing surroundings. The implications of this newfound knowledge extend to various aspects of life, from personal relationships and problem-solving, to innovation and psychological well-being. Embrace the power of deviating from the norm by embarking on a journey that changes how you perceive the world around you.